inside of Discord here real quick. Usually takes a minute for folks to trickle on in. All right, guys, give us a couple seconds here. We're going to share this inside of Discord before we get kicked off. We've got a real treat for you guys here today. This is a LIA Hall of Famer, if you will. He joined LIA back in May of 2023, so you're coming up almost on 2 years.
Yep.
He shared that they're on track for $6 million of top line revenue this year. All things go according to plan. Might be a little under, might even be better. Who knows? And just in Q1 of this year, 2025, you guys did more than you did all of 2024.
Yep.
And the numbers are insane. I know January was multiple six figures. So you guys are cranking. And what's crazy, dude, is you do this with a part-time job, or you do this part-time with a full-time job, rather, and you've got a family, and you're 2 years in. So pretty insane. Let me share this inside of Discord before we kick off. But dude, just give me just the status report on how you've been. It's been a while since you and I have spoken. So
yeah, it has been a while. I feel bad not making some of the calls, but I'm still active in the Discord and everything. But we're just been we kind of hit that. We 0 to 1 was like we hit that kind of middle of last year, right? Like where we found our product market fit, if you will, and kind of figured out the game plan. Hired my first acquisition manager, my first person I ever hired ever, about middle of last year. And that slowly started to, that built that kind of compounding of, okay, now I can free up my time to kind of think a little more higher level, able to get out more marketing. And, that marketing piece was really proven out to me, where you're just feeding money into the machine and you're getting that ROAS on a pretty consistent level. It was just a matter of, how much money do I want to put into it? And right. And so that's kind of what we've been doing. I think as you know, I don't know how many people in the audience knows, but early last year, a guy named Nick Staley, who was in the LIA Discord, put his hand up asking for an internship as he was starting his own land journey. He's in college. He's a college kid. I tapped him. I said, "Hey, why don't you come work for me? I'll teach you how to put mailers together, price markets, tell you what I know about land." I'm only at that point. I was a little over a year in, but I figured why not? And then from that point to the end of the year, he's just a stone cold killer. And it got to the point where I went to him and I said, "Listen, we need to team up and form a little bit more of a formal partnership here, because I wanted to get into texting. My mail was doing okay. The response rates were maybe a little bit tepid, not as much as I'd want it to be. We're still getting deals, and the deals we were getting were still very solid. Like the gross profit price were great, but it wasn't keeping my acquisition manager busy. It wasn't keeping us necessarily busy, which isn't a bad thing if the money is still coming in. But I was like, okay, we ran the numbers on texting. It made it's texting's the cheapest advertising and the whole stack. I was like, well, let's take a run at this. So I asked him to come in. I said, listen, any deals that we come in, we changed the structure of the team. My former acquisition manager was based in the Philippines, moved down to lead manager, and Nick is the quasi acquisition manager and kind of like the COO. He's kind of running that whole operation right now too. And he's getting, he gets a nice profit split from these deals as well. And since then, which we first turned on the taps like November, and then this past quarter we've done about on average 7 contracts a month. Wow. And we're just we're which was what we're targeting. But now we're like it really feels like we have the capacity to get to 10 very easily, just by continuing to put the foot on the gas. So it's been a very, very fun and like feels all of a sudden, but at the same time like natural growth. We've brought on a TC, we've got the texting manager too. So that's about it. We've got four on the team right now. We've got they're great. feel like we have a good balance of, I've never been the type, especially when, I'm in my 30s, never been the type of guy to be like, I'm devoting like 60 hours a week to this business. Like I did that in my 20s. Like I did that at jobs, and that's not the stage of my life I'm at right now. I'm definitely in a more of a work smarter, not harder. And everyone on my team, I think, is like that too. But they're also like, I've got a guy like Nick who's just, he's not even 21 yet, and he's I know, and he's just and he's already like, I love it because he keeps me aspirational, right? Like
Yeah.
he's got like, cause he's got that such a longer time frame and such a bigger, wider world ahead of him, right? That it helps me to continue to push me to be like, okay, you're right. Like we can definitely still try and grow this thing and go after bigger and better. So that's where we're at. And
The hell of an update, man.
I know. I know.
Nick is amazing too. I met him at the event last year. Sorry, guys. I got a little bit of a bug going on. Apologies. It's probably terrible audio for everyone. No, Nick's amazing. It's crazy. We've got a few, I'll call them kids, I guess, inside of LIA that are under 21 years old that are making like 400, 500K a year. It's
Crazy.
Bro, and I saw Nick share that he personally did like 100K plus in his business, I think in January.
Yeah.
So he's still too.
He's still doing his own deals. So he's now he obviously we did a few of the deals that we did together. So last year we were interning. He was interning for me. He had his own business that he was trying to get going. He was sending like a small amount of mailers a month, maybe like 2,000 mailers a month. So not nothing, but something where it's like, okay, he needed to hit on a deal, and then you got to wait that 4 to 6 months cash conversion to then get to the next one. But in the meantime, I told him, I gave him a list of like, why don't you just try cold calling if you've got all this time? That's what's so great about being young with all this time on your hands, especially for everyone's in college right now listening to this. Like you've got all the time in the world on your hands, and there's nothing stopping you from picking up the phone and just calling these landowners, with all the sales tactics you've learned all up and down the Discord. It's all you need to know to try and convince these people to sell.
Yeah.
And he found this amazing deal in Anderson, South Carolina. I said, you bring a deal, we'll split it 50-50. I've got my private money lending sources that I was able to bring in. So it was like, it was, let's see, we bought it for 135, ended up selling for around 267 or so. So like almost a solid double up. And so he's doing great. And he's continuing to do his own deals. Like, and I encourage it. I was like, listen, he's just sending out his own mailers under his own umbrella. But we have talked about like, he's even brought it up. He's like, listen, I want to focus on growing the texting platform where we're going, because we're starting to bring in like some outside capital now that we can control and not have to be as reliant on partners or be as reliant on some of the lending structures as well. And so we're starting. He's still doing his own deals, and I highly encourage it if it's so long as that, like, hey, I can see your output, right? Like as long as we're hitting these KPIs and our goals we're setting every month, he's really on top. He's on top of reporting, like, hey, here's all the calls I made today. Here's all the offers I made today. Here's the contracts we got signed this week. It's like, it's hard to fault him when he's hitting his numbers. And,
dude, I'm always of the belief that I really don't care. Like if someone's hitting KPIs or slightly above it, preferably, dude, if you want to work 3 hours a day, I really don't care.
Exactly.
You shouldn't be punished for being talented and being smart. Like I think that should be really, honestly.
Totally.
Dude, I have a lot of questions that I want to get into. I'm sure there's some people in the chat asking about the technicals, which we'll touch on. And then we're going to hit on the backstory, and then we're going to go flip the script, do a little bit of, I suppose, one-on-one coaching for your guys' next steps. Now, for folks that are joining late here, been 2 years in, on track for 6 million top line this year with 4 team members. So let's whittle down what are the actual KPIs in terms of how many texts, how much mail, who are those people on your team, things along those lines. And for context, dude, you guys you're nipping at our heels in terms of contracts. I'm doing very similar deals. Then we did 8 last week, but Yeah, 7 to 10 is where we're floating. So you guys might
Yeah.
you might pass us this year.
Yeah, it was definitely, we definitely had to, I guess, lower the gross profit numbers. I think we talked about last time I was on a call with you. It was like when I first started, I wanted to target the higher gross profit deals just because I wanted that cash to help like really kickstart the business, right? So I was kind of targeting some of these bigger deals, but now in order to, you know, in order to make the texting work and and keep the team happy, keep the team compensated as well, because some of their compensation is tied to like a fixed, every deal you sign and close you get like a little bonus as opposed
Yeah,
to like a percentage of gross profit. It helps keep that morale going as well. I
yeah,
found, and in the meantime, like it's still a return, it's still a pretty positive return on our investment. And um, so we are, so that's kind of, I think, been the biggest shift. And like, maybe before we're targeting deals that would make us $50,000 of gross profit. Now, like our minimum is $30,000 of gross profit, but now we're doing 8 deals a month as opposed to 2 or 3, right? So the math works tremendously. um, but
okay. Hey Ben, let me ask you a quick question
yeah,
actually on that. This is a contract that we got signed this morning.
okay.
It's in Michigan. It's a market we're familiar with. Would you do this deal to buy it $3,750, an easy 12 to 15K all day long? You taking that deal or you passing?
See, so on something like that, I think that number is still probably a little too low for a broker to get involved. So it's still got to be at a somewhere where we can entice a broker to list it on the MLS and spend a little time on it. We're in the markets where we've developed good broker relationships, although we still, every once and again we got to go in a new one and develop new relationships as well. But we're not set up on the dispo side necessarily to go and try it. That would be something that I would say like we've got to self list that. We don't really have anyone in charge of dispoing either.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, you know, a lot of the deals, I would say like 25% of the deals I've been doing are knife fights these days. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're wrestling to get them to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Sellers are ghosting. We've got to figure out a way to get them back to the table. They're fighting with us. There's like some sort of headache that goes along with it. So I want to be compensated for that time. And even though I've got an amazing transaction coordinator, there's just some problems that like I need to dive in and help solve. And if we're doing that small deal, and that's like happens to be one of the deals that ends up being a headache, I'm just like, what are we doing this for?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like it's not. It's um, like it's something that I think when you're first starting out, absolutely go after it, catch your teeth on it. But there, you should. I think for where we're trying to go and for the amount of time that we're devoting to it, we're trying to stick to, and the amount of deals we're getting to, like we can stick to that like $30,000 gross profit number and still do the amount of deals we want to do.
okay. Well, hey, just start sending those my way, man. I'll gladly
Go,
take
yeah,
it.
yeah. I know you're set up for it. I know a lot of other teams are set up for it too, right? So
Yeah. And like there's still a pick and choose. Like, yeah, new
yeah,
market. We don't have a realtor. Very well might pass on it. But if it's in a place I already know, I think that our realtor will probably take us on, even if we don't. The market's good enough to go
yeah,
flat fee. Anyways, dude, let's talk about the KPIs from a high
sure,
level, because to have the pick of the litter for $30,000 deals all day long,
yeah.
most people are like, how the hell are you doing that? Because that sounds ridiculous to be able to pass on anything sub 30,000 in profit. So let's walk through the marketing KPIs, and then also on the acquisition side. How many dials is Nick making a day? Verbal offers, contracts, and if you have that handy, I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just gonna pull this up. We've got everything kind of laid out right here. We just increased our launch control to 100,000 a month in March. We started off at 50, and then very quickly, like after an amazing January, we're like, okay, it's time to go. 75 in February, 100 in March. Um, I can see us getting up to 150 by end of summer.
Okay.
Um, I think we're tracking it. We probably get I would say a lead push to our system, um, one every 300 texts or so.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, give or take. And then, from those, we're at about like a 36%. So 1 out of every 3 of the deals that are pushed to the CRM are what we call net leads, which are like, they're good to go, they're motivated. There's something, they're leads we're going to make an offer on. There's it's a deal that, like, if we can get there on price, there's a deal to be made there for sure.
Yep. Yep.
So that's around like 33% of our net leads or 30% of our gross leads we're converting to net leads. And then, like I said, Nick's a killer. He's making offers on just about all of them. Like, there's not a deal. If it's a net lead, that's pretty much what the qualifiers is like. Is this a deal that we want to make an offer on in the first place anyway? And so we're taking all of our shots on goal, which is, I think, huge. Like, I think that's like the biggest difference is that, we're making 60, 70, 80 offers a month.
Yeah.
And you're gonna when you do that, it's just a numbers game. So and so about the offers made, like, we're probably around that 8 to 10% range for that turning into contracts. So that's it. That's the math of how we're getting it done, right? Like, and it's been, since we started, it's been pretty consistent.
So I'll just for context here, I'll share my numbers. We can cross-reference.
Yeah.
And everyone, they're asking in the chat, is it launch control? I'm 99% certain it is.
Yeah. Yes, it is launch control. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, for everyone out there too. I mean, I haven't used all the tools, but to be honest, I think launch control runs laps around either the tools that I have used or just things that I've looked at. I'm a big proponent of launch control. Mm-hmm. So these are texting KPIs for us in March. Average text per contract sent, pretty much 4,000 even. Average text per contract signed is at 13,000, about 13,500. Let's call it 13,614 if you want to be specific. We've got 5.2 text leads turn into 1 hot lead. 1,700 texts per hot lead, 339 texts per just lead inside the CRM. Roughly, you guys kind of in the same territory, it sounds like?
That sounds about right. I think like the high level number I think I could match was like we're at around 15,000 texts per contract right now. Although I think we might add one more, so it'll probably be a little bit less. So we're pretty close to that. I think we could probably squeeze out a little bit more. I think we could do conversion a little bit more from the top end of the funnel. Because I think, like, once it's getting to Nick, and I feel really good about the numbers once it gets into Nick and the acquisition manager level, where he's making the offers and he's getting these deals under contract. So I think figuring out how to really, like, manipulate the data, try and make sure, like, because right now we're just taking a shotgun approach to our texting. Like, we're pulling it out of Land Insights. We're using the scrubbing tools for the physical attributes, and that's about it. The flood zone, wetlands, access, and then we're just firing away, right? And so I probably it's one thing I do have on my list is to do an audit of our text responses and see how is the first message we're shooting out, like, hey, does this even make sense at all anymore? Do we need to mix it up a little bit? If someone sends a response, because a lot of times, like, say someone says that someone will text a response to, like, a higher number that seems like it should be market. Well, a lot of times my texting manager will just kind of like be like, okay, never mind, this isn't a deal. Or, like, I'll log on and be like, well, it could be a development deal, could be an entitlement deal. Like, let's like not like I know that takes some nuance and some skill to learn, but, like, let's let the operation side of the house decide that portion. We have taught them to be okay, but when they say an outlandish number, like, you can pretty much ascertain that. But, like, maybe they say market value, like, let's just keep them. Let's keep them talking and let's see whether we can work our magic a little bit. So,
dude, I totally agree. Honestly, I think most people do texting pretty poorly for reasons like that and a slew of other reasons.
yeah.
We're actually adding the AI comp value from the comping tool inside that initial due diligence panel.
Yeah.
And so just like you can just get a quick pulse by pulling it up.
Right.
Like AI says it's worth 100, they're asking for $1 million. Okay, I'm not bringing that in.
Yeah.
But they're asking for 150. I think it's 100. Maybe there's a lot split subdivided up. I'm bringing that in all day long. And a lot of folks are looking for like accepted range offers through text. I'm like, that like never happens. And when it does, it's usually a red flag. Like the seller's crazy, the wrong person, property's messed up. Now you've kind of followed the theoretical LIA cadence perfectly to some extent. We'll talk about that here. Now, the reason I say theoretical is because we haven't released the marketing blueprint program, which is kind of the next step. It's the next evolution. Now, for folks here that don't know, I mean, all marketing channels work, first off. Like if you're decent at acquisitions and picking markets, you could do PPC, Facebook, it doesn't really matter. You'll find a way to get deals done. But I think mail is a great place to start. You send it out, kind of works on your behalf. It's not the channel I would use forever. It'll always be involved, but it's not the top of my funnel. You get enough cash coming in, you can build a semblance of a team. Then we bolt on texting, we put that in front of mail. Then you start stacking other marketing channels. So people are asking what your mail KPIs are. It sounds like you guys have either pulled that back or pulled it back.
Yeah. Like we've even, I think we even skipped February to be honest, but January, March, we set about 10,000 each month there. We're kind of turning through our latest, rocket print order that we had, right? And we're actually meeting. Nick and I are meeting on Tuesday to revamp our entire letter and our entire mailing strategy as well, because I've always gotten the biggest deals from my mailers, right? Like for whatever reason, that mail when like someone has like a higher value property, it just transacts better to mail. Now that's not to say like we've gotten a couple deals through texting that are just. I can't believe that we just got a six-figure deal over texting. Like one of the first deals we got was a six-figure double close that we signed up and sold in 30 days. It's just okay. It looks like clearly it works, right? But yeah, just the mail is definitely and part of that is using Land Insights as the tool to really start to put together like more of a sniper approach list and going after bigger minor subdivide deals, right? Going after those higher value properties, because now we probably got a good handful of those minor subdivide deals on our list. So we feel pretty good about it. I feel very, very confident like my ability to navigate any jurisdictions regulations. So it's not something that we're afraid of, and the tool really makes it super easy. The one thing I did put in the Discord that I would love to see is being able to compare the different acreage ranges at once. The price per acre for what's the price per acre for the 10 to 20 and their sell-through rate versus the 40 through 20 their sell-through rate? Can I see that all at the same time? Because if you do that, then it's game over, right?
So I'll tell you a little secret. I hope I don't get in trouble for sharing this stuff. So
that's your famous line, by the way. I think
the team hates it.
Every time you say that, Kyle and Rylan just like, oh God.
Everyone's like, fuck, dude, stop saying these things. But I get too excited, man, because I know it's behind the curtain.
Yeah.
So Kyle built out a comping tool 2.0 last year that's just for value add. And it's everything from county regs to what you're talking about. So that will be released at some point. It already exists. It's
amazing. Yeah.
But it's a great idea. I wanted to, we'll talk about the mail KPIs because people are asking. Yeah. And I'll talk about kind of, the iterations that we're going through as well. We still get every month leads from mailing campaigns over the last few years. We kind of have built this like drip that comes in. But we are reorientating our mail strategy. I think we're moving away. We're moving away from the text non-responder mail campaigns, and probably we have cold email, and I think we're going to add a cold caller or two to hit those, and then using the road frontage scrub inside of Land Insights, and I've been pairing it with this big meta study that I've been doing on all the deals I've ever done.
Okay.
and creating this like lead scoring system almost.
Yeah.
There's all these weird triggers, dude, like weird stuff as to what looks like is a correlation. It's not a guarantee. And so stacking the road frontage for the exemption-based subdivides with a lead scoring of some kind, and then really trying to just build out the most badass, insane mailer that's ever been created. I ran a 2-page white letter with no design for years. I think there's room for me to improve, whether it's bubble mailers or something more interesting. So
totally. Well, you look at what's going on, like people are dropping in Discord like in the past few months, like shout out to Kay Walker, like, you know, just blowing the socks out of like any sort of mailing KPI I've ever heard of, and then dropping it in Discord too, to be like, okay, yeah, this is what happens with someone who with a good marketing background and thought process like can do. And like, you know, we've always talked about, you've always mentioned, you know, that land business has always been in the stone ages. It's starting to like get into the more professional levels in the real estate world, but like it's still years away behind like the householder sailors of the world, like everyone else. Like there's still so much of the surface to be scratched. Like it's crazy.
it's
So
crazy,
yeah, like putting some color on your mailer, right? In a little bit of formatting, you'd be like, it's just like, oh, of course, like it's a no-brainer. But like we've been trying to just shotgun or just send out as many mailers as possible and keeping those costs low at a point where it's like, okay, like 55 cents a letter versus 75 cents a letter, but now you're going after double the size of your targeted deal, your gross profit deals. Like, yeah, of course, like why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, dude, you know, it reminds me a bit of Bali to some sense, which is for thousands of years, this has been such a fertile island that they never had a shortage of food. Like there's always an abundance of food and abundance of natural resources. So the need for innovation has never been there. You know what I mean? It's very much like the thing. You could be stupid as a rock, and you know, for the last few years, you could get deals on autopilot. And no one's really innovated. So it's slowly happening. And the innovation, like you said, is hilarious. Like we did the 90 Days Hero with Dennis a year and a half, 2 years ago, 10K into 270K in 90 days. That's in his pipeline. Some of it sold, some of it sold later. And the big aha is he put a color logo. And I'm like, how did I not think of that? You know, it works so much better. But the crazy thing is, dude, there's probably still only 200 people running this at a high level, maybe 300, I think. They're like really moving the needle and trying to innovate here. So yeah, barely scratched the surface. There was something that I wanted to something I want to add to that. Let's touch on, it'll come to me. So let's touch on a couple of the questions that loop into what you're saying. So they want to know, are you sniping or are you sending neutral letters when it comes to your mail?
It's blind offers. We're all blind offers. I figured out a way to help me do it at scale kind of early on where, you know, you apply like a formula, and I won't spill the beans for anything, but I have seen what's coming in Land Insights, and it's basically what I've been doing for mailing for the past 2 years. So I'm very excited to have to be able to eliminate that part of my workflow. But it's basically just, you know, creating like that logarithmic equation through your county to quickly price, and you know, based off of where the comps on a scatter plot are. And so that's all I've done to date for my mailers, and that's treated me pretty well, and just applied a discount off of those.
Hey, now if anyone's watching us from Land Insights team, that was Ben's fault. Okay, I didn't
it's Kyle's fault for letting me in. But anytime, anytime I think I get a little peek behind the curtain, it means it's because it's only a couple weeks away. So very, very excited to see what the next iteration is.
Yeah, no, it is super cool. I think it's unlike anything else that really exists out there currently. And the funny thing is, this is what I was going to say. It's not even funny. It's actually kind of sad, to be honest. There are hundreds of people a year in business, and they say it doesn't work. Or they say mail's dead. Mail doesn't work. It's like, dude, Kay Walker sends what, 4,000 mailers a month. It's got a $500,000 pipeline.
Insane.
You look at people like Mike V or Anthony Reese. It works. You're just not skilled up enough. So get the skills, and it definitely works. I will say, to answer the question about sniping versus neutrals, I almost don't even know if mail works if you're not sniping, to be honest, or it works so ineffectively. So you kind of have to be sniping. Now, outside of LIA, we talk about polygons, zip codes, acreage ranges, subdivisions. Out of those four, which one are you guys playing with most?
We're probably doing acreage ranges, right? Like
Okay.
it's like the I mean, I guess that's the logarithmic scale, I guess, is the more scientific version of acreage ranges, because we're taking the whole market. You know, if 2 to 5 is priced within this band over here, but 5 to 10 is down here, it's just taking the trend line that cuts all the way through it.
Yep.
No, I did not start the 90 Day Zero to Hero. I actually started. I'll answer this question that just popped up in the chat. I actually, the very first time I heard about land investing was on a Twitter thread randomly on like January 23.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that like, and at the time I was looking for like a business that could generate a lot of cash and something I could do on the side of my W-2. I really wanted to try and get into real estate investing. My background's in commercial real estate. Uh, I work for an industrial developer right now. I've worked in commercial real estate finance for most of my career. And during COVID, I saw a lot of people starting to buy a lot of assets when interest rates were like at zero. I was like, dang, like I really want to do that. But I quickly realized you need cash to be able to invest it. Even if you're trying to syndicate, it wouldn't feel right not to have my own cash to invest into it. I know a lot of people who do it without it, but I was looking for that business. So boom, Twitter thread, turn me on to land investing. He mentioned that he learned his stuff from Seth Williams' Ari Tipster online educational stuff. So I was like, okay, I can do this on my own, thinking, I'm smarter than everybody else, and quickly realized that like I was not smarter than everybody else, and that and then the algorithm gods turned me on to Sumner's YouTube videos at
Yeah.
some point, and I was like, okay, this seems like I think it was because honestly the thing that tipped me over was because you were and that's why, and then you continue to do this, is you post all the wins of all of your students on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, these are just random people that are like posting their wins in these deals. And it's like, I think I might have messaged one or two of them like, yeah, it's legit, it's real deal. So I joined the group coaching program like 2 months after I started. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, let's do this right. And I just followed the LIA program to a T. And here we are. 2 years
Here
later.
we are, man. Yeah, it's such a cool unfolding, and it's funny how literally some Silicon Valley algorithm could change your life by showing the right video at the right time. Because it's a good chance you would have never even seen it, and who
Exactly.
knows from there. Are you planning on syndicating any deals this year? Because if you do, I'd love to invest.
I'm always on the lookout.
Okay.
Always on the lookout. I think that's the next iteration for all these land investors who are very profitable. Is like, how do I lower my god dang tax burden? Because this is it's just a weight around your neck. So yeah, if I find something, I'll definitely be not advertising, because I don't think I can solicit anything right now. But I'll let you know.
Yeah, man. I just had to send out the wire to the IRS this morning. Unfortunately, I had to pay right under $1 million in the last 6 months, which is disgusting.
It's a good
a blessing.
It's a blessing. It's called a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Jerry, you'll definitely be in the first round, family and friends round.
Yeah. All right, let me go through the questions real quick, make sure I didn't miss anything. Julia says, when you snipe, what do you focus more on? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, but first we figure out where's the demand at, right levels of supply. Then we break down these markets so we have pockets that are priceable. Acres ranges at the county level, could be zip codes, polygons, subdivisions. There's other strategies. I just find that's usually path of least resistance. Maines wants to know your mail KPIs. You can share it from a high level. What do you guys shoot?
I think we're tracking like a deal per. I think we're tracking probably a deal like per 6,000 or 7,000 now. To be honest, I've set up my Zaps, my systems to really hone in on texting, and mail has just kind of taken a bit of a backseat on my focus for marketing and everything. But it's always, I think that's kind of where we're trailing towards, that 6,000 to 7,000 letters per deal. And like I said, it hasn't been refreshed. It's the same old letter, but 6,000 to 7,000 costs.
What
about
would you say
3,000.
your average spread is on a mail deal? It sounds like it's a little higher than texting.
Yeah, we're probably getting like, call it on average, still around that $60,000, $70,000 versus texting maybe around like $30,000. Yeah, Yeah, it's still like I can just let's see. Yeah, there's a buy for 86, sell for 156. Let's see.
Wow.
This is one. I mean, this is the one that a deal that Nick pulled, but potentially a buy for 375, sell for 850. I know. We'll see. There could be title issues. We're still waiting on
Yeah.
a full title report. We think it might actually be fractional ownership,
Yeah.
but we're we're still waiting on that.
Wow.
Yeah, 42, sell for 90. All my mails um, have always been like at least around, like average at least 50,000. I think like that's pretty consistent.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, you've always gone after bigger deals without going
Yeah.
too big, not pursuing $10 million properties or something ridiculous like that. But like,
Yeah. I'm in a middle right now. Yeah, not right
okay.
now. I'm starting to get my hands dirty a little bit, and I'm debating whether that is take. And that's on one of the questions I think I brought up to talk about is get that shiny object syndrome and like starting to expand too wide out of your breadth of skill set and your expertise. So I mean, listen, we do have a handful of, like I said, some subdivided deals. I'm still working that South Carolina deal that's going to make it's going to make a killing once we're all finally sold through. Our original projections for that was like a buy for 5,000 an acre, sell for 10,000 acres, over 350 acres. And since that happened, and we actually ran into like a few just like disagreements with the county, if you will. But now we finally got the last plats or splits approved, and so we're finally be able to like we've been able to put 3 of them on the market. We're getting ready to put the next like 6 or 7 on the market, and then the final 7 or 8 I think are going to shortly follow in the next few months. But we bought this thing in August, so it's been a little bit of a journey. But I mean, in that time, like the market has definitely gone in our favor. So now we're projecting like closer to like a $14,000 per acre sellout versus the $10,000 per acre sellout. So we're talking like a whole nother turn on the money almost.
Wow. Dude, that's mental. We've got 2 questions in the chat that I want to hit on, and then we'll flip the script. You grill and me. One question, which is a question I want to know too. Hey, why do you W-2 and then advice on juggling work and business and family? And then AJ Platt's got a question about learning how to pick and price markets. They want to know if you have a VA that does this, and it seems extremely tedious. I've got my housekeeper knocking at my front door, so I'm going to let her in while you answer that question.
Okay. I'll answer the second question because I think you want to hear the answer to the first one. The second question, picking and price markets, that falls under my Nick's purview now. When he first started, I taught him how to look at markets, pick markets. He's the one who's really doing that for the most part. So he's kind of my COO, but we do have a VA who's then, picking the markets out of Land Insight it takes, I mean, it used to take, hours looking on Redfin, pulling down your sell through data and finding the right markets. But now with Land Insights, like it takes us all 10, 15 minutes to be like, okay, we want to target this state. Here's our metrics for what we think is like a good, good in demand market. And we just pick the top 10, 15. We focus on, high, is there a decent amount pending? Make sure that there's at least there's good activity. So there's probably at least 10 properties on the market for sale. Kind of hit that 10% minimum pending threshold. We like to see a good steady sell through rate with so if we'll end up filtering maybe for 6 months minimum 75% or so of the active inventory has been sold through. But then we like to make sure that we can pair that with, okay, is it consistent with 3 months? So that means the 3 months data is between 35, 45% or something like that. So that way it's nice and consistent. And so that's what we focus on and when we pick our markets. Nothing too crazy, but we're still pricing everything countywide or trying after everything countywide. So that's so then Land Insights, have our markets, download, load into launch control. Why am I still? Yes, basically you need Land Insights, exactly. Sumner will drop my affiliate code here in the chat, and so that way
Ben, where is the affiliate code? How long we need to get you set up with one, man?
I feel like I've turned a lot of people on to LIA.
Yeah, you deserve one. I'll get Ari to send that your way. And for everyone here too, it's down below landinsights.co/apply. It's a demo call, and on that call, we'll pick a market for you and give you 1,000 free leads. It's pretty fire. What about the W-2 part, man?
So the W-2. So honestly, like, I think I brought this up before, and maybe when this post, there's like a loud beep over this while I speak, so that way my boss number covers it. But I've got a really good gig, and the way that when interest rates shot up like a few years ago, that put a lot of like pause into the activity that I've been working on and doing. But before that, like, I provided enough value to the company that I was able to just carve out a role in a niche, if you will. Like, a lot of us folks are on financing. When interest rates rise, financing is kind of tapped out. So now I'm just kind of working through the management of all these loans that we had put in place, and we aren't taking out any new loans. And so my workload went from from about maybe here like 75% of my time to like down here maybe like 5-10% of my time on a weekly basis to my W-2. So I'm devoting 90% of my week already to the land business. Are there some things that like are a little bit of guardrail still? Like, I can't just go up and travel when I want to. Like, I still have to ask permission. I still limit it to PTO days. That's like maybe like the biggest impediment. But I got to work from home 3 days a week still, so I can kind of put my travel schedule around that. I've got an office that I can hop into it when I am at work, that I can just shut my door and I focus on land all day anyway. So, and it provides a really nice, it is a nice salary. Like, and don't get me wrong, like it's kind of hard to give it up too. It's an insurance, really. It's all it is. I am the land business is taking off nicely, and I think like by the end of the year, there's it'll dwarf what I'm making for my W-2. But I've got bills, I've got kids, I've got a mortgage. It covers all that, and so that way I can invest all the money that I'm getting into the land business into growing this thing as much as I can, closing deals myself. Right.
Yeah. I think honestly, like, I actually agree with your sentiment to some extent. I mean, I think it can get long in the tooth, but the thing I hate most that gets my goat is people that try to earn an income from their land business in the first year or two. I just think that's outrageous and such a ridiculous expectation. Sure, you could draw a salary. You're probably going to be profitable for playing the game right, but fucking compound that money. Put it back into the If you got a vehicle that multiplies your money by 7x or 10x or whatever, like, just grow the thing.
It was great. So last year I was able to take out $50,000 as a salary, and that allowed us to do a lot of fun stuff. Take some trips, buy some cool presents for kids and for my wife. But it's honestly, I haven't spent half of that, and so if I find a deal, like, that money goes into deals anyway, because like, I can go and buy a deal and flip it for twice the amount, right? Stock market went down 10-15% the past couple of days. Like, I don't know where.
Don't tell me that. I don't even look at it. It's depressing, man. But I agree. And as we've grown our land business, we pretty much brought all of our funding internally, just with our own bankroll. And it's just hard to compete with that. It's like, where else can you put that money and get those kinds of returns? AJ has a question. Sumner, do you learn the basic overview of choosing the markets and pricing the data from 90 days 0 to hero? Yes, at a high level. You guys have to remember that is a beginner program to go learn how to get your first deal or two. It's not how to build a business or every nook and cranny of the business. It doesn't cannibalize what LIA is, but it's certainly a great jumping off point. And we've had folks that make 40 or 50 grand in the first 90 days, 180 days. So it certainly does work. It's not all the way up to speed with all the depth and breadth of what we teach inside of LIA. So it's like the dumbed down, very compressed junior version that really just goes over marketing and acquisitions. Not really what happened thereafter, but it's a great place to start. AJ, I'll put a link down below, landinvestor.co/apply. You can hop on a call with our team, and we'll walk you through both options, and you can see what makes the most sense for you. And we'll walk you through from like the 30,000 foot view, our strategy in general. We don't gatekeep that information. All right, man, let's flip the script. Now, I didn't go through your questions. I didn't prepare for this. So we'll go just straight into it. I know it's team related, but hit me with it. What you got for me?
Well, actually, let's start on the other side of it, because that's actually something that is starting to, I guess, put a little bit more stress on me. Is starting to add those tools to your tool belt, right? And going beyond just like, your bread. You start off the bread and butter land flips, then you pack on minor subdivides, because that feels like a very easy path to expansion, right? Because now you're not flipping one deal to one deal, you're flipping one deal into 8 deals, right? Like that's pretty straightforward. But um, you know, messy title deals are all the rage, I feel like, these days, the past few months. I'm in middle of taking Clint Turner's course right now, and they're top notch, right? Like he's basically put his whole land flipping business on the side just to go full time into this with his team, right? And they're doing really well. But like, learning, now that I know what that side of the house looks like, it's like, okay, that's a very big time devotion. It's a different set of skills, but at the same time, like, I feel like it's a useful set of skills to know. And the off chance, it's like, hey, like, if mailing and texting, texting gets hit with regulations, and now you're relying on mailing and slowing down, like, okay, great. Like, or the entitlement deals, right? Like, should you be going after 1 to 2 entitlement deals a year? Like, so that's kind of showing the object, expanding the products that you're going after. When is the right time? When is it too far? When you're going too far, and when do you bring your team along? Because some of this stuff I'm just trying to learn on my own before I start bringing my team along. Similar to land flipping, learn it on myself, then I start hiring a team to cover those.
Yeah, it's a good question, man. It depends on what you're optimizing for. In my experience through other businesses, even before this, but like the land business, LIA, Land Insights, if we're optimizing for growth, in my experience, higher quantity of what's already working, I think in the short term has the most effect, and maybe even in the long term as well. I think I've done more damage to myself and my team by getting these shiny objects. And what I've found is when I talk to a lot of these people at the events that get into the zeitgeist, right? 2 years ago, it was exemption-based subdivides. And so they throw the baby out with the bathwater, and they try to like rotate everything. Bro, I'm going to tell you, those people are not doing very well. Now, I like the idea of saying, I've got this business that is thriving. I'm bringing in 400 leads a month. If I can add just an additional like peripheral vision or awareness of how to look at deals from a different angle, I do like that ability. But I'm not a fan of flipping the script. I think that's just rarely works for people. So it's a yes and no. Now, exemptions, I feel pretty differently about. When it comes to like the messy title stuff, and I'm not a pro at it, but I was just talking to Ajay here, they've kind of reorientated their business to go 90% after these things. I think they're still doing standard flips for sure, but it has been a pretty big 180 to change the team structure a little bit. And that to me is still viable. Some of the differences are, okay, you need another messy title stuff, but that's very learnable. It's not that difficult. You're taking out a lot of deals with houses on them now. You've got to get pretty darn good at either having a lawyer in your Rolodex, either that's on staff or contractor, or just how to find good lawyers, and obviously getting plugged in with the title companies. That's not really a crazy lift to me. I'm like, you know what? I think you could add that in. Entitlements, for my little dance to entitlements, bro, it is a different beast entirely. Now, not all entitlements are obviously created the same, so it's a sliding scale. There's a threshold of complexity, but for the most part, I don't think that's just something that you do on the side. And I thought I could. Maybe it was my disposition. Maybe I'm just not cut out for it. So I hated every part of that process. But also, when I just looked at the time vacuum that this created in my business and the capital suck that it had, I'm like, dude, I could have done 20 other flips and probably made almost the same amount or more with like really no additional strain on my resources, because we've got a cookie cutter mold for it. So it's not all created the same. I would say the messy title stuff kind of mirrors the exemption-based subdivides in terms of like you can kind of bolt that into what you're doing.
Right.
But I wouldn't fall for the trap of like, oh man, everyone's stopping flipping and they're doing so good at this other thing, I'm going to follow in their tracks. Because there's folks that are like, always trend hopping in this business.
Mhm.
I love the businesses, whether it's land or unrelated. They're like, bro, I just found like one inefficiency, one arbitrage, or one thing, and I've just done it
Yeah,
10 times over again for
I
the last
know.
30 years.
Yeah,
And
and they don't get bored with it, and they just they just chop wood every day. Yeah.
yes, and there is
Yeah.
this giant gate that most people get stuck at, which is, are you willing to be bored for the next few decades, and can you just keep on putting one foot in front of the other? And the results, if you make it through that gate, are just ridiculous. Like
Right.
all my businesses get better over time, even if we don't have tailwinds in our favor, just because we get better at the skill of whatever the thing is that we're doing, we grow by virtue of that. And so I find a lot of people in land are like, they're very tied to what's happening externally. Interest rates, the economy, I had to lay off my team. And I think it's partially because they've never gotten really good at the one thing, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a bit of a different view on it. I'm definitely curious about messy title stuff myself. I would say we probably generate 5 opportunities a month in terms of leads that we could probably take down if we were just a little smarter. So I do like the messy title stuff. But
well,
yeah,
let me know, because I'm an expert in it now. I took one source. Yeah, we'll partner on it. I'll teach you.
I will say, and even on that note, my mindset as I've been exploring this stuff a bit more is I'm only taking one messy title strategy. I'm going to take one and do it for 6 to 12 months. I think it's probably airships. As my go the most, and I'm just doing one. I'll turn away the other shit because I think it's going to derail us. And then I'll master that, build a process around it, get the people in it, and then on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
So yeah, for everyone here, I mean, I would just say be careful when people are pitching you these new golden opportunities. Not to say there is an upside there, but I think a lot of people, they throw out what's working for them now to go chase the new shiny object. I think it's a more sustainable strategy just to become more skillful at what you're doing. That's my 2 cents.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. But look, there's counter results. I mean, Clint's killing it. What's that other guy's name from Texas?
Logan Fulmer.
Logan killing it. So I can't argue with their results. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Okay, I think I agree with that. I like that I've gone through and I've understood what it takes now, right? Because when those deals do come up, I'm working on like 1 or 2 deals that were in my pipeline that I went to go circle back to and be like, oh, I know how to solve this now, right? Like I've warmed them back up. That's helped me get the confidence there. But I think the like you said, stop everything, build a whole business around it, right? Like and build a whole marketing channel and hire a whole team. I think what we're doing is working, and I think we need to continue to focus on what we're doing and continue getting better at it is the key. But at the same time, like it's what I've learned is like it's not that hard. Like a lot of it is just picking up the phone and calling and talking to people anyway. So if you ever get it's something where it's like I don't need to. That doesn't need to be a main focus or product line to be like, okay, this has got to make $1 million, $2 million a year for us, right? Like we want to do a handful of deals, that's fine.
Let me add something to that, Ben, just for everyone here. And I think a great case study, and he doesn't like to share numbers, so I'll keep it high level, but a great case study of someone that embodies the doing more of what's working and just becoming more proficient at it is Riley. I don't think there's any land flipper I know that's making as much money as him, to be totally honest. Maybe there are sleepers out there, but that I know personally, there's no one at that level. And yeah, like they know how to do probates, and like they definitely are keeping their eyes open to new tools they can add in. But they're doing like 500,000 plus pieces of new marketing a month. Like they just found the thing that works, and I'm just taking it to the end. Great.
Yeah.
And
like a contract a day or something like that. It's just
I think it's like 1.8 on average per day or something ridiculous like that. So I really respect that stance on business personally.
Totally. Yeah. And he's built up a great team that he doesn't do. He works. He probably works majority of the time on Lane Insights now anyway, right? Like, and he just has that machine running. So I agree. Like, I think you're right. I think that is like the golden standard for doubling down on what's working is what he's been able to do with his land business.
Yeah. What else you got for me, man?
So dispositions. We've always, and it actually gets circled back to what we talked about, that one smaller deal, right? Like the buy for 3, sell for 12,000. We are, our one of our rocks for the next quarter, hiring a disposition manager. Now, with the way we've run our deals today, is like we've always just partnered with a local broker,
Mhm.
and that's been our disposition strategy is like put it on the MLS, make sure you've got great drone photos, good marketing copy. Um, for some deals, we're like, okay, this may be a little bit more tricky. Let's do some Facebook marketing. I'm still banned on my Facebook Marketplace. I don't think I'll ever be banned, but I've got Nick's Facebook Marketplace account running, so we're always running off of that. Like what? So I've never. I went to Ajay's event last
Mhm.
fall,
Mhm.
and I was surprised with how many of the folks, the higher level folks there, had disposition managers. Um, and I was just kind of like, look, I don't even know like what a disposition manager would do in my business. Now I can kind of see like a little bit of the path now that we have a little more higher volume. But
Yeah.
uh, can you walk me through like that side of your business? How
Yeah.
you think about the disposition management side? I know you used to have a more bigger presence on land.com
Yeah.
and pushing deals through that and running the deals yourself. Now it's like all MLS, but or a lot of it's MLS. And so just can you walk me through like
Yeah.
what's the strategy there? Like what's the
Mhm.
best use of that role and how to incentivize them too?
Okay. Yeah. Well, for for starters, I let go of my disposition
There
managers
you go.
probably a year. We
Okay.
had two, I believe, at the height of it.
Yeah.
It's not to say that it doesn't work, but I'll tell you my thinking. And first off, for everyone watching this call, there are outsized returns from best in class listing photos, best in class copy, and realtor management. So we kind of
Yeah.
manage our realtors as if they were a dispo manager. Are you guys doing something along those lines?
Yeah. I mean, more or less, right? Like, right now it's a little bit disparate as far as who is going after who is in charge of the broker relationship. We kind of
Mhm.
put some of that on our transaction coordinator to try and cultivate. Some of that's in Nick's court, but like I don't want Nick too heavily distracted from getting deals under contract and closing the deals as well.
Yep.
Um, so part of that's on me. We could probably do a much better job of just like checking in every week, like, okay, hey, what's going on with the property? What's going on with the deal? And
Yeah.
so someone who is more focused on doing that, I think, would be beneficial.
Okay. Do you guys have a set process of how you're managing them? Or is it kind of when we get a chance?
Yeah, yeah. It's literally like in my commute on Friday mornings, I just go through the Rolodex and be like, okay, I haven't talked to this broker in a while. I haven't talked to this broker in a while. I haven't talked to this
Okay.
one, and that's what I head up. That's when I make my calls.
Okay. So, what has worked really well for us? So we let go of our dispo team, whatever, year and a half ago. We started predominantly using, I'd say, 90% realtors, 10% flat fee MLS. And no more land.com, no Facebook. We still use land flip because it's so cheap, and maybe we sell 2 deals a year on there or something like that.
Okay.
But our results were like, okay, I was like, there's something missing here. It's good, but it's not as good as I want it to be. The
Yeah,
first one for everyone here, you already know this, but like, dude, just like market selection, like realtor selection is 80% of the battle. And
absolutely.
our team, I had too much trust in who they were hiring, right? So
Yeah.
that definitely hurt us. But what we did is this is actually inside of LIA. You can see our template in there. We have just a bi-weekly cadence that
Hmm.
goes out. We track all of their KPIs and we force them to submit that to us. And then we
Yeah.
kind of guide, instruct them on what they should do. So we have someone on our team that sends that out, and then I'll just share with you
Okay.
what we get in return. Share
And
my
you send this
screen.
out to all the brokers that you partner with. Like,
All
okay,
the brokers, yeah. And
got it.
then, so like for example, yesterday, Aries puts together this kind of breakdown. Okay, this listing, this is what's going on. We got this buyer. This is the problem that we're trying to work past. Da, 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 da. So we just kind of break that down for all the deals that we're currently working or close to the finish line. And so then I'll instruct, okay, I think the realtor should do this, or Aries will instruct. And really, I think that if you set expectations up front with the realtor that, hey, you're not waiting for an offer, like you are working these leads, we track their
Hmm.
KPIs and then we instruct them. It's been a night and day difference in terms of our dispo. Like our
Yeah.
dispo at the beginning of this year was like, I'm like, why are we only selling like 4 properties a month, but we're buying whatever 8? And then it
Yeah.
jumped up to like last month we sold 8 properties.
Right.
So this has been huge for us. Now, building a dispo team for sure has some kind of ROI, but I think it's pretty subtle, man. What
Yeah.
I would think about doing is if you had a dispo manager, I would want to route all of the calls from the realtor to one phone number that your dispo manager has access to. And so you can see all those inbound calls that are coming to them, and then they could like follow up and set appointments, I suppose, or just follow up to see what, hey, like you visited it 2 weeks ago. What are the thinkings around it? Again, I don't think it's an outsized return, but there's probably something there. I think what I'm talking about here gets you more than half the way there with like,
that's all. I think it's more so someone as a realtor manager, right? Like, I think that I don't think I'd want anyone who's actually like talking to the leads
yeah,
necessarily, right? Like maybe they are posting on, maybe it's someone who is like, who are taking those deals that we need to be posted on Facebook, or just
yeah,
that we get that, and we're doing flat fee MLS on anyway. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, and those aren't very much. I think we might do only 2 or 3 deals at most at a time.
Yeah. So I
But
think, yeah, I agree.
that's I think key. I think that's the
Okay.
key.
And then in terms of alternate channels, I think it's pretty similar. So Facebook's
Yeah.
a weird one because in certain states like Texas, for example, Facebook works like gangbusters. Like it's a pretty
Right.
good info channel. And then in other places, I just find I get no response. It's just crickets.
Yeah.
But Facebook honestly might be worth adding into the mix. Now, land.com, land.com definitely does work. It's just pretty expensive nowadays, and I just don't find it
Right.
works that well. And those deals, whether they're from Facebook, land.com, landflip, they're harder to close. Like it's just more work and instructing and setting up expectations. And they've never bought a piece of land before.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of lack of trust because they don't think you're a realtor or you're legit or whatever. There's a lot you have to overcome. I also find that those channels, most buyers are really looking for owner financing. That's kind of what they're hunting for, not literally hunting, but that's what they're looking for. And so if you
Yep.
don't have a lot of owner finance deals, it becomes maybe a little harder, which you can still offer them on bigger flips. That's no problem. But it's just kind of the avatar you get there.
Yep.
So yeah, my recommendation, realtor manager, make sure that you guys really are absolutely best in class in photos and all that jazz. Like I'll show you guys. I mean, again, I can't say that we're the best at it. I think we're pretty good. I'll just show you guys like a listing of ours that you
And
can tell me.
do you have someone on your team that's just like marketing, like graphic designer for this, and like, and you do your own drone photos, but you tell all your realtors like, we'll do all the drone photos, or you get the drone photos, send it to us, and we're gonna
Exactly.
edit
So, shameless plug. We use Land Insights to edit the photos. And the guy's not a graphic designer, but sure, he's got like a keen eye on design. Used to do video editing way back. What's
That's
up?
all you need. This is amazing. This is like,
Yeah,
like
this is
10x better. This is 10x better than all other land deals.
exactly, and it's so high ROI. So what we do here is I have the realtor take the photos. If they're not going to take the photos, they don't have access to a drone. Really good signal that they're not a legit land realtor.
Right.
And if they try to charge me for the photos, screw you. That's insane, in my opinion. So they give us the photos, we edit them, we give them back to them, we use Land Insights to edit them, and then usually we'll have them write the copy, and then we'll help sauce it up a little bit. And that's pretty much it, man. And this is cool. Has just so high ROI, in my opinion. So
and that's just, and you're just doing that for your cover photo, and then the rest are just like the nice, pretty photos.
Oh, bro, these are all nice.
Every photo, every photo.
Yeah, we don't mess around. I mean, they get progressively less impressive, but I would say,
so it's like the first five tell the story of like, here's the neighborhood, here's the wider view, here's a close-in view.
The first 5 are everything. So yeah, and then inside of LIA, we've got our SOP for drone photos. So like we want them like this, and from this angle, and this height.
Right.
But I just think there's so much upside in just doing that. Now I've got friends that do like Ben, for example, that works with Ajay. Bro, they go to gun shows and try to sell properties, and I just don't know if it works that well. I love the hustle, but I don't know if it's worth it. I will say a sign on the property goes a long way. So I'd have a realtor leave a sign on it. And we've had mixed results by doing outbound demand generation for Dispo. Some people swear by it. Some people are like, no, it makes up like a third of our sales.
Yeah, we've only done it. It only worked well for us on a double close where we think the neighbor is the best buyer of the land anyway. And I think it's the only time we've ever gone outbound and found someone to do it. But like, I don't have a buyer's list. I don't want to have a buyer's list. Like that's not the business I'm running.
Yeah.
So.
But I'll tell you guys one nugget, and this is a long play. But if you can have owned media for demand on the dispo side,
Mhm.
that's a freaking huge asset. And just look at Landio. I always use something as an example. They put up a TikTok and Instagram reel. They're selling deals in a day. It's just unbelievable. And so I do like that play. And really all you need to do to make that work. So you just instruct that the drone pilot or the realtor takes a video, really simple to do. Go to, I would say, bring it in-house as a contractor. We pay our editors $15 per short form reel and $30 per long form video. I spent a long time trying to find good people. I found them on online jobs.ph. I had to go through a few and just throw that shit up. It's like a long-term investment, I think, if you're interested in that idea. That is long-term high ROI and very low input to make that work, in my opinion.
Right.
But that's my 2 cents, man.
Cool. All right, that's very helpful. I'm gonna clip this and send it over to Nick. We can talk about it at our next
Sweet.
exec meeting.
Sweet. Yeah.
I've got a jet. This has been killer.
And I know you had some team building questions. I guess we'll have to save it for part.
Yeah. We'll have to do it again soon.
Okay. Well, hey, good seeing you, brother. I appreciate you sticking around. You're a freaking killer, a legend in the making. And are you going to the event in Colorado?
I want to. We're going to try to shuffle some things around. Man. Okay.
You and Nick got to be there. Anyways, I'll stick around and I'll answer the questions on the call here. You can just hop off and I'll talk soon, man. Let me know if you need anything, okay?
All right. Good catching up, Sumner. Take care.
See you, brother. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. I'm going to go through the questions here. I know some in the chat. I don't want to leave anyone hanging. Aaron says, what software do you use for cold email? Oh God, Aaron, you're gonna put me on the spot, man. We've used a few. Let me see if I can Google it and they come up. Cold email tools. We use one of the big box popular ones, which was Smartly. So I used Smartly for a while. I used Instantly. They both work okay. I think the problem that happens is because so many cold emails are being pushed through them that this is kind of weird, but like the SMTP providers know it's coming from a giant cold email software, and I swear you get worse deliverability. So then Mara and I found a niche little tool that I cannot remember. I'll have to ask Mara. I can't remember off the top of my head. But my recommendation, try to find a small little tool, and I think that you're probably going to get a better deliverability rate. And a little nugget for you guys, an example of that. I know cold emailers that have been using Go High Level, as crazy as that is, because not many people are doing mass emails through there. It's actually been working pretty well. So I'd say like when they zig, you zag kind of thing, try to find like the offshoot tool. I think your deliverability will be a bit better. So that's my recommendation there. Aaron, just for awareness though, like for cold email to work, you have to be sending a crap ton of cold emails. So just FYI, like if you're sending 100 cold emails a day, I mean, dude, maybe you get one contract a year, but it's going to be really measly. I do recommend land emails with Mayor. I actually gave up my equity in that business. Kind of crazy. It was profitable. It was growing. But much like I was talking about with Ben with shiny objects and all that stuff, there's just too many other things going on my plate to make it feel fair to the people that I work with that I'm going to distract my attention. And you know, as you get deeper into this entrepreneurship game, your view of the world changes. I literally see $100 bills on the ground everywhere I look, figuratively. There's just there's just too many ways to make money. There's just too many opportunities in and out of land, and it takes a high level of restraint to be like, no, you know what? I'm sticking with what I'm doing, and that changes once you have team members. I think we've got 25 or 30 people working within the different businesses. I have almost like a fiduciary responsibility to continue to provide them opportunities. And I think it's in poor taste to just derail my attention because I know it does hurt them on some level. And so I had to make a judgment call there. But anyways, I think land emails is a great option. Really, for it to become interesting, I think that you have to be sending about 20,000 emails a month. And with that, you could probably get somewhere between 1 to 3 deals per quarter. And it's pretty cheap to send 20,000 emails a month. For it to be more consistent, like 50 to 100,000 emails a month. And at that point, you're probably getting 1 to 3 contracts a month. So it takes a lot of volume, takes a lot of data. And you got to be using like a premium skip trace option, whether it's Land Insights or something else. It could be a direct skip that gives you high quality emails. And the thing is, to send out 100,000 emails a month, Aaron, it's actually, you need like probably 300,000 pieces of data, because you skip trace 100,000 records, maybe 25% of them have emails, 30% of them have emails. And honestly, maybe half of those emails aren't even good emails. So maybe you need 600,000 pieces of data. So it really only makes sense to add that in when you've got years worth of data that you've marketed to. If you're just getting started, honestly, start with mail, add on cold texting, add on cold calling. If you're really ballsy, you can use RVMs. And then like last thing I would think about adding would be cold email. But yes, email does work. It's lumpy, it's inconsistent. So it's not like mail or texting or cold calling where it's like very reliable. It's like very all over the place. But net, if you're sending 20,000 emails a month, you'll make 6 figures by the end of the year just based off of those cold emails. Aaron, do you get more contracts typically when texting fresh lists? Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. You're always going to get more deals from texting fresh lists. 1000%. We still follow up with old lists. We still work old lists, but yeah, you're always going to make more from fresh data. Mains, what's the minimum acreage range you should mail? Doesn't really matter. Mains, there's 3 kind of pockets in the land investing niche. There's infill, so call it like 1/10 of an acre to 1/2 an acre. There's rural infill, 1/2 an acre to maybe 5 acres or so. And then there's rural recreational, which is 5 acres to infinite acres. All of those strategies work. So it's really, what's your flavor? Now they all have different playbooks and criteria that go with them. Inside of LIA, we really just teach a rural recreational and rural infill strategy. Occasionally we do pick up a 1/4 acre here and there that just comes to us, but it's not our strategy. The due diligence process, the flow is different, the dispo is different. So I think that rural infill and rural rec have the most upside. You've got multiple exit options. You're never going to rip a 7-figure or multiple 6-figure deal from little infill properties. It pretty much is never going to happen. I think there's more steady demand over a long enough time horizon for rural infill or rural type properties, because people always flock to those assets in times of scarcity and in good times. But when interest rates jack up, the economy is messed up, people typically aren't trying to go build that dream house on the 1/4 acre property. So I'm not a big fan of the infill game. Julio says, are you using AI? Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not a make or break in our business, but Land Insights uses a ton of AI. So there's many components of Land Insights that rely on AI that we use in our business, whether it's the AI scrubbing or AI comping or things along those lines. So we use it most heavily in terms of Land Insights. And then we use AI for sales calls analysis. We use Claude that reviews our team's calls and gives feedback on sales calls. We use AI to go through and read title commitments. So yeah, there's areas that we use it, but it's not going to make your business, in my opinion. Elaine says, Sumner, it sounds like the 90-day zero to hero doesn't help someone who really wants to focus on learning how to find the best markets. Is that accurate? No, Elaine, it certainly does. It's not the same depth and breadth of what we teach inside of LIA. LIA is much more technical and kind of covers every nook and cranny, but you can't have a program that doesn't teach market selection, in my opinion, because you're in a boat without a paddle. You know what I mean? So yes, it does teach market selection. It just teaches one market selection strategy that does work. But as you grow, you're going to need to add more to your repertoire. But you could say I'm biased on this, maybe not. I'll try to be as unbiased as possible. If you're serious about lands, join LIA, again, or join another program, whatever. But I just don't think that there's any strategy that's as a kind of short line path to a big land business than the strategy that we teach inside of LIA. And I don't think there's any program that has the level of fulfillment that LIA has. And I think it's really difficult to learn and master this business just through a course. You really need the feedback loop of coaching, in my opinion. Now, I think you could join a course, go get a deal or two, but at some point to really hit the big leagues in compressed time, most people need some kind of coaching, whether it's one-on-one group coaching or finding like a mentor and like working with them locally. But you look at someone like Ben, they'll do $6 million in revenue this year. It's his second full calendar year in the business. No one ever does that without coaching. That's impossible. They did over $250,000 in profit in January alone. So it's like, you're not going to get that from a course. You're definitely not going to get that from doing this on your own, unless you're a savant. Aaron says, do you typically text whole counties or out of zip first? So yeah, we typically text whole counties. Zips work, subdivisions work, it all works. But most of our market selection is at a county-wide level. And most of our texts are going countywide as well. There are definitely times that we snipe zips and things along those lines, but typically it's a lot of county. Now, Aaron, one thing to know, what we may do is we may hit a county and recognize, okay, most of our inventory, our deals are coming from a certain zip code or a certain subdivision, or most of our sales were coming from a certain pocket once we acquired deals in that market. Then I might come back and really hammer that home. So maybe I add that zip code or that subdivision to like my forever marketing list, where every quarter we're hitting that subdivision or zip code up. So we will kind of clarify winners from a county, and then we can drill down on that. I think that like the zip code, subdivision, super sniper stuff works really well for mail. With texting, you have a bit of a wider funnel because it's so cheap to make those first touches. Julio says, for texting or cold calling, I don't know what you're asking in that question, but I prefer texting over cold calling. I'll just answer it that way. AJ Platt says, understood the info from the 9 days here is still valid in today's terms. Yes, sir. It is still valid in today's terms. What else you guys got for me? Any other questions? You guys can put it in the chat, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have. One thing too, like Ben mentioned with hiring the intern, I've done this a lot, and a lot of other LIA members, we coach them up on doing this. It's a great strategy. There are many people that maybe are watching this video or inside our Discord or inside Facebook groups that aren't cut out for running their own business. They're just never going to do it, or they're not doing it anytime soon, but they know land. They're very motivated to be a part of a land business. And so you can find, in some cases, free labor or cheap labor to go and work in your business as an intern. Usually no base salary, just commission on deals closed. And that internship role makes the most sense for acquisitions, in my opinion. AJ, is the info from Zero to Here still valid in today's age? 100%. Yeah, 100%. Still valid. We've got people that use it to go and get deals. Again, I've never had anyone go and build a big land business from it. Usually what happens is people will go through it. They'll go get a contract, a couple contracts in 6 months or whatever. And then usually they join LIA, and then we add kind of nitrous to their business. And then they go from, I made 40 grand in the last 6 months to, okay, I did 400,000 in the last 12 months kind of thing. But yeah, still valid. I wouldn't be offering it if it wasn't valid. That would be dirty. Julio says, I meant AI for texting and cold calling. No, I don't do any AI for texting or cold calling. There's a lot of laws, TCPA laws for cold calling with AI that you have to be very careful for. And if you're making outbound calls with AI, I'm pretty sure that's just blatantly not legal. And then there are people that have AI chat bots for texting. I've looked into building one. It was going to run me about 12 to 15 grand to build it. At the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I think part of the reason that we do so well with texting is because our texters are very skilled. There's a skill component to texting. There's a skill component to cold calling. There's a skill component to all marketing channels. So maybe I pay more over a long enough time frame for having manual labor, but they do better. And texting is just not at a point where it's conversational enough and can lead the conversation however they want to. Aaron says, do you usually file memorandum contracts on our double closes? Yes, we do. We use Seb that files them for us. We pay him a couple $100 a month. He's on staff, I guess, in essence. Anytime we need an MOC filed or any legal problems, Seb jumps in and handles it for us. So you can do it yourself too. You don't need to use Seb, but it's been a huge asset to have him with us. And we also, Aaron, we do it on weird deals too. Okay, so I'll do it on deals where the sellers give me the heebie-jeebies, or if it's a very long close. So like we'll have double closes that are 12 months in some cases. So I'll file it there. And even on cash deals that I'm going to close on that are very high value, I'll still file it there. So we also just kind of read the situation and file it. It's so easy to file. It's kind of a no-brainer. I don't do it on every deal. I think that's a little overkill, but we do it on probably 25% of our deals, I would say, somewhere around there, double close and cash. All right, y'all, what else you got for me? Fire me up. Give me some questions in the chat. Aaron's leading the pack right now. AJ, you'll be surprised so much outdated techniques out there. Well, AJ, facts, like first off, 100%. And that is because most people that are teaching this business don't run this business, and it pisses me off, man. It pisses me off. I am not the best land investor out there. I will own that all day long. There are people that make more money than me. There's people that are smarter than me at this business, but I am in the trenches running this business. Like I'll give you my KPIs from last month. We generated 321 new leads in our CRM, 61 hot leads, 27 contracts sent, 8 contracts signed, total signed contract value 1.23 million. The last month in February, we had a really bad month. So in February, we generated 318 leads. We generated 73 hot leads, 33 contracts sent, but we only signed 2 contracts that month. That was $280,000 in total like sales value, with a pipeline profit expectation of 184,000. I live this stuff. I'm in the trenches. Like, I know what works. I know what doesn't work. And I think it's if people aren't running this business and they're teaching it, that's fine. But I think that should be disclosed, because there's a lot of folks that are teaching things that are ancient. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of like the business change post-COVID in a really big way. It just like the going wide approach does not work. I want to make that very clear. Going wide does not work, You got to be a sniper, right? And that's why someone like Anthony Reese, who's a LIA member, made $500,000 last year with like 35 or 40,000 pieces of mail going out, and he only mails, and he's got no team members. Sniping. We snipe the markets. We snipe the pricing. We snipe, everything is just sniped. It's like shots on goals. Julio says, give some names. Look, I'm not here to hang anyone out to dry. I think you guys probably know who I'm talking about. It's pretty obvious, in my opinion. If you get these people on a live call and you really grill them, they're flustered. They don't know what to say. They don't walk this walk. They don't live this stuff. And I think it's very obvious. AJ, do you teach land subdivide splits in LIA? No, we do not. Now, we definitely have coached many people through it. Like there's still probably 100 plus minor subdivides that get done by our members every year, but it's not in the course curriculum. And I'll tell you why, AJ. Everything that we teach in LIA is really one streamlined concept. That's a great offshoot. It's a great additional tool to add to your tool belt, but it's actually impossible for a program to solve everything through education, because people get in there, they're like a ping pong ball. They're like bouncing all around. We just teach cash closes, double closes, mid-market properties, the right kind of markets, a very specific kind of market, the right kind of acquisition process. Really, that we just focus on one little criteria. And so most people, they graduate LIA, they'll have cold texting, they'll start doing minor exemption-based subdivides, things like that. And certainly down the line, I think it might make sense for us to add adjacent programs for people to graduate into. But I have like a strong feeling against trying to teach too much. And AJ, what's funny is when I built LIA, I still think LIA is too big. Like, I would say in the next 12 to 16 months, we'll be doing a LIA 2.0, where we throw out the old course curriculum and completely rebuild it. I think in LIA right now, there's 300 plus hours of content. And the future LIA 2.0 will probably have 30 hours of content. So even in its current form, I think we've gone too wide with too much information. It's like drinking from a fire hose. And the art of great programs is one outcome, one thing, one strategy that's going to get people the fastest results. So if you get one, we will absolutely coach you through it. We run 30 hours a month of coaching calls. I will never leave someone high and dry and say, oh, this is outside of the course curriculum. But I don't want to steer people in too many different directions. And honestly, as a newbie, you want to just focus on flipping properties, like mid-market, flip properties, use JV capital, go do a deal or two a month, build the business, build the team, then start bolting on additional marketing channels and playbooks and things like that. Aaron, the title company files an MOC for it? No. The title company does not. So Seb, our lawyer, files it for us, or you can file it yourself. So either or works. Mains, do you recommend countywide acreage ranges for someone sending $3,000 to $5,000 a month? See, Mains, and I mean this lovingly, it's the wrong question to ask, okay? The right question is, what is this market telling me of how it needs to be priced? Markets will whisper to you and say, look, you can't price me by an acreage range. You need to use zip codes in this market. So we let the market educate us of how it wants to be broken down to find the right pockets for pricing. So it's contextual to every single market. I would say most of our mail is going to be either acreage ranges, countywide level for very homogenous markets. It's going to be zip codes, or it's going to be subdivisions. So that's going to be the main kind of 3 playbooks. Most markets will fall into that. Really what we're looking for post removal of outliers for different brackets of property size that could range. We're looking for no more than 100% delta from the low price to the high price in the last 12 months. That's my signal that I can go and price it. Now, you might be saying, Sumner, I have no idea what you just told me. Probably a good signal that you need to go back to the drawing board and work on the education side of things. We also use inside of Land Insights, and I'll just show you guys here, we use the Gini Index, okay? So the Gini Index is a scoring system that we created that shows us how homogenous a market is. So I'll share my screen and actually show you guys this, okay? Now, it's not the end all be all, but this is our trigger. So let's say I don't know, we'll go out to North Carolina, okay? So I'll just grab, we'll size this down. So I'm going to start by looking at the 5 to 10 acres, okay? So that's what I'm sizing it down to. And I'll just grab, okay, so like we're looking at a few markets here, like Henderson County. So for the 5 to 10 acres, Henderson has a 29 Gini score over the last year. Anything under 40's okay. Anything under 30 is probably priceable on a countywide acreage range basis. You can see that this is at a 55 for Buncombe. Probably can't price that. Now, the reason that this is at a 55 for the Gini score is because there's topographical features here and there's a big town. Asheville is a big town. So topography, cities, oceans, lakes, rivers, whatever, national parks are going to create a big disparity in price, which is going to increase that Gini score, which was really just telling us that the lowest sale and the highest sale for that acreage range, 5 to 10 acres, is very wide. So if I wanted to work in Buncombe County, I might say, well, I definitely couldn't do this from an acreage range basis. So maybe I toggle it over to zip codes. It'll take a minute to load because I'm doing it for the whole state of North Carolina. And I start looking at the different zip codes. So this zip code here is at a 46 on the Gini. I can't do that. But this zip code here is at a 21 on the Gini. I can probably do that. So that's my signal. Then I go pull that data and I go through the process that I just told you guys about with that low to high price over the last year. AJ, how many hours is the Zero to Hero? It's a good question, man. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's 12 modules. It's an over-the-shoulder program. So it's me training Dennis Yasko live, and that's all documented. Most of those modules are about an hour to 3 hours long. So call it 20 to 30 hours in length, I would say, AJ. For everyone that joins the Zero to Hero, you also do get a 14-day free subscription to Land Insights. So 14-day free trial to Land Insights. We don't offer that anywhere else other than LIA. So you can't get that publicly. So that does come with it as well. So you can test drive Land Insights at the same time. There's been a lot of questions about the Zero to Hero, funnily enough. I'll put the link in the chat for anyone that's curious. All right, we got some good questions here, guys. Let's go through these. You guys are getting me fired up over here. Aaron, are you avoiding counties that are too hot or too expensive? Yes, sir. Too expensive, yes. So we do go after more expensive properties, but like the majority of what we're going after is probably 300,000 and below. That probably makes up 80% of our marketing. Maybe 15% is like 300 to like 600. And then very rarely we'll get the $1 million properties. I'm not going after, $4 million properties or anything crazy like that. But most of the money is easiest to be made in that mid-market bracket. A lot of buyers, easy-ish to acquire. You can use outside funding, and so it's a great place to hang out. It's really hard to acquire big deals, and so if you're a crappy land investor, sorry, but like you've been doing this for a year or two, you get a $1 million seller on the phone, you ain't gonna know what to do. You're not gonna have the process, the skill to run it. You're not gonna know how to find the capital. You're not gonna know the exit strategies. So it's just a waste of marketing dollars to go after those deals if you're not skilled up yet. You know what I mean? AJ, it is still 80% off. We've been running that 80% off sale for quite some time. I believe it used to be, I don't know, upwards of $2,500 when we first released it, maybe $2,900. I can't remember off the top of my head. So yeah, AJ, there's a little bit of marketing incentive there. It'll probably remain at $499 forever. And then Aaron, to answer your question about counties that are too hot, 1,000%, bro, 1,000%. Look at the reason, I'm gonna share my screen again. The reason that Land Insights is powerful is because everything in this business is arbitrage, right? It's all a game of arbitrage. It's all a game of arbitraging information. And so Land Insights allows us to find the non-obvious markets that other people aren't looking at that still have very high levels of demand. So what do most of these gurus teach here? I'm sure you guys have all heard this. And hell, I've even parroted this before. Back in the day, I used to say the same thing because it worked, but it doesn't work anymore, or not very well. What everyone used to say is go 3 hours or less outside of a major metro. So you take Dallas, Texas, or Fort Worth, they say, yeah, just go and 3 hours outside of that. That's where you want to hang out. But the problem is that's obvious because everyone's doing it, because everyone's been taught that. And so a lot of these areas are hard to acquire land in. And what happened is because so many people were hitting them up, sellers thought they were sitting on gold mines. Sellers are like, dude, I'm killing it. I'm going to go list this property myself. So a lot of these markets also have insane levels of inventory. Denton County has 384 active listings. Wise County, 413. Parker County, 586 active listings. That's too much supply, in my opinion. You can still sell deals there. You can still acquire deals there, but you're playing the game on hard mode. So instead, we use Land Insights to find the weird places where you're like, dude, why is anyone buying land here? But ain't no one else working there, and there's still a lot of demand for it. Now, you can't just go off the beaten path and pick any old market because it's not obvious. There still has to be buyers on the other side, and it has to be priceable. But that's why when we built this tool 2 years ago, we built it initially as a database just with VAs. I was having VAs aggregating, a couple thousand counties, not the full 3,000, but maybe 1,000 to 2,000 counties, manually aggregating all of that info into a spreadsheet. And it worked so well that I was like, oh, there's a product here. That was its origin point. So yeah, counties that are too hot, or better said, just too obvious, tend to not very work well. Maine says Texas and Florida are cooked. Yes. That's funny, man. Yeah. Florida, not as much as Texas, in my humble opinion. The problem with Texas is there's so much supply and there's so many investors working there. There are still good counties in Florida. Now, a lot of the subdivisions are picked over. A lot of bad subdivisions with way too much inventory. But there are still honey holes. I see LIA members landing fat deals all the time in Florida. And in Florida, I think there's more demand than Texas. So there's a lot of pent up need for land there, especially that's like well priced. So you get something for the extra difficulty, which is a lot of liquidity. In Texas, I don't find that we get that anymore. That happened COVID time, but I don't find that anymore. We get that boost. So I still like Florida. I don't personally work there, but there are still honey holes in Florida. But there are also a lot of bad areas as well. Texas still works. We still do deals there, but it's a little more cooked. AJ, in buying the Zero to Hero, how to get my free trial for Land Insights? Yep. So when you sign up with the Zero to Hero, AJ, you're going to get an onboarding email. You're going to have an account manager. So Joy is your account manager inside the Zero to Hero program. And Joy will connect you with Ari from the Land Insights team. And right when you sign up, it'll be a whole trigger, a whole sequence that happens. And then whenever you're ready, you don't have to use it immediately. You could save the trial, or you could use it the first day you sign up. The Land Insights team will take over and set you up, and you'll be off to the races. Julio, how long does it take you guys to do the sniping of a county to send letters? I mean, a couple things. One, it's a skill. So for me, not very long. I mean, I could build out a campaign of 1,000 records in an hour or less. So yeah, it's a skill. And then also Land Insights makes it like unfair how quick it is. I mean, there's people that put together 10,000 records in a day through Land Insights, where that used to take me 2 to 3 weeks to do. And that was because a lot of the time was going to market selection and pricing. So what would happen is I would take me a day or two to find the good markets. And then I would start digging into those markets just to find out, dude, I can't price this. But now we can see the demand in Land Insights, and we can see the Gini score, and I can see the pricing information super quickly. So yeah, with Land Insights and enough time to build the skill, you could snipe 1,000 records in 45 minutes to an hour and a half. Without it, if you're brand new, to do it right, dude, if you're brand new to do it right, I would expect 2 to 3 days, to be honest, to really do it right. AJ, so we pick markets with Land Insights. What are the prices for the mail merge? Is there a tool for this? We do have a tool coming inside of Land Insights that automates this, but still, for now, it's still manual to some extent. So Land Insights shows us the market, shows us the initial pricing details. AJ, there's also a course that goes along with Land Insights that you'll get access to that shows you how to use the tool. Then we export the sold data. You can export it either through Land Insights or you can export it through Redfin. And we start massaging that comp data, just like what we teach inside the Zero to Hero. So it's a bit of both. And we do have an automated thing for pricing that will blow your guys' mind coming out this year for Land Insights. Let's see what else we got up in this joint. Aries, do you use realtors when selling properties? Yeah, that's funny. Aries, shout out to Aries. Aries works on inside the land business. Aries has been with us, I think, for almost 3 years now. Aries started as a texter. He now does everything under the sun on the ops side. And Aries is the kind of person that you want to work with. Ultimately, a lot of my success is derived from working with great people. And that's what I always tell folks. If you want to go far in this business, at that 2 to 3 year mark, your growth is correlated with your ability to find great people, lead great people, train great people, and incentivize great people. You can't run this without great people. Everyone in the land business and all the businesses I'm a part of are fucking all-stars. Aries, Newman, Jordan, Eva, like the list goes on. The people in our land business are all-stars. And they're the reason that I'm even able to be on this call talking on a Friday, because it takes a village and we all kind of work with each other and it allows us to grow. And honestly, you need people like Aries in your business. Julia, how much is Land Insights per month? It's $500 per month. With that, you get all of the features. You also get 2-cent skip tracing, 5-cent a la carte data. You get free AI scrubbing, free access to the comp tool, free access to the realtor reports, free access to the market selection, free access to the listing photo design, all that stuff. So yeah, $500 a month. That is Land Insights. It's a premium tool. I wouldn't recommend getting it if you're not really all in on this business, and you don't need in full candor, you don't need it to run this business in the beginning. It's rocket fuel once you have some momentum. I never want to pretend oh, you can't do this without the tool that I've created. Hell no. You can do this manually. There's plenty of people that are successful doing this manually. This is not, you can't do this without Land Insights, but it makes it a hell of a lot easier. And that is why we have people that are one-man teams. They might be them and a VA or just them that use Land Insights that make $500,000 a year. You really can't do that if you don't have the leverage of Land Insights, but you can still build a big business. It just requires more people. Aaron, you're killing it with the questions today, man. Kudos to you. Good questions all day long from Aaron. Do you typically remove lots with market values under $40,000? No, we keep those. So the mid-market strategy that we teach inside of LIA, Aaron, 25,000 to about 250 to 300,000 on as a list price is where we hang out. So no, I don't remove $40,000 properties. And we still get small deals, right? Because we have owners that own multiple properties that want to sell different properties. So for example, the contract that we got signed this morning, buy for $3,750 and dispo probably around $15,000. So I still do smaller deals. I don't spend a lot of my marketing dollars going after them. We're pretty much always in the mid-market buy box, but we still do get small deals. I would say we get one small deal a month that's buy for $5,000, sell for $20,000, buy for $3,000, sell for $12,000. But most of our stuff is in that mid-market buy box. All right, y'all. Anything else you guys got for me? What else can I do for you? How can I help? Anything else? If this was a good call, please do me a favor. Seriously, give this video a thumbs up. There's 18 of you guys on this call. If you think that we provided some value today or is a good call, please give this video a thumbs up. It really does mean a lot. It goes a long way. A comment and a like really help in the algorithm. I used to never ask for them, but it does help push the content. And it's a really good signal that you guys enjoy this kind of content, which motivates me to make more. So we've only had 6 likes on this call so far. All 18 of you, all 19 of you, give this a thumbs up, please. It goes a long way. I want to see us at 25. 19, there's already 6 likes. Give me to 25, please. It's like leaving a tip. It really helps. All right, guys. Well, if there's nothing else here, we can wrap up. Again, give it a like. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I hope these videos are valuable. And hop into our Discord. It's free to join. It's landinvestor.co/Discord. I'll put it in the chat for you guys. We also, if you're a Facebook person, we also launched a Facebook group about a month and a half ago. I'll put that down below as well. So some people like Facebook over Discord. You can have your cake and eat it too, whichever one you like, Discord, Facebook. I am only active in the Discord, but my team's active in the Facebook. So take your preference. Maine says, will the price of land insights increase with all the freebies and discounts? Maine's probably not. I mean, I can't predict the future. You know what I mean? Like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I don't want to like pigeonhole myself. I doubt it. But in terms of our business plan, I'll just be totally honest with you guys. Our business plan is to have people never leave Land Insights. So the way that we do that is by continuing to ship new features. We ship new features every single week into the platform. This week, we've already shipped, I think, 3 new features to the platform. So our whole entire playbook is more free value to keep people from never leaving the tool. Now, there certainly may be bolt-ons, there may be additional paid features down the line, but I'm talking about 5% of the stuff that we release. I mean, really, I want to say you hold a subscription like the Costco model, and you just get free stuff thrown at you constantly. And with Land Insights, you get access to our weekly office hour calls that we just added. You get an account manager who's Ari. You get an onboarding call. So there's a lot of support. You get access to the private Land Insights Discord. And so if you want to steal our business plan or know what the business plan is, make it so people never want to leave the tool. That's the idea. It's not so much about jack up prices, charge people more and more and more. I want people to stay on this tool for 10 years. I think that's how we make money. AJ, we need that tool. Looking at the YouTube looks like draining, doing the data. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy tool, to be honest. Like just for example, AJ, we released our comping tool. In fact, I'll show you guys before I hop off. Don't leave yet. Stay on the call. I'll show you guys something real quick. All right. I'll show you guys this. So this is pretty cool. We released this on Monday of this week. Okay. This is the Land Insights comping tool. Now we already built this feature 12 months ago. So I've been using this in my business for 12 months, but we just shipped it publicly on Monday. Since shipping it publicly, it's 100% free. Since shipping it publicly on Monday, we've already had 12,000 comp reports pulled by our members. Pretty crazy. So here's this property here, okay? It's a little 4-acre. I click on this comp property button down here. It opens up a new tab. It's going to bring you into our comp tool. It just takes a quick second to load. So bang, here's the property. Our AI comp tool values it at $28,463.50. I can get my profit calculator breakdown on exactly how much I'm going to make on this deal. You can toggle these expenses depending on the market. Maybe you're paying your realtor 4% instead of 6%. Maybe your closing costs are $1,000. Down here, you can see our metrics dashboard, okay? So 175 active listings out here, county strength, how easy to price. This is our pricing score. And I can come down to our manual comp section. Now I can have it auto select the comps if I want manually, or I can actually come in and look at all this sold comp data here and manually add them in. So let's say I add this comp and I say, yep, this comp. I can see all the different statistics to go along with it. So now I go up here. This is my manual comp value. It's been generated. But this property actually has, you can see it's got 2 structures on it and it's got a driveway. So what I might say is I'm going to add an adjustment. So I'm going to say 20% bump due to structures on it. And I'm going to save that adjustment. Okay. Bam. It's reflected in my manual comp value here. Now, majority of the time, this AI comp value, 9 times out of 10 is accurate. But when you're dealing with weird properties that have, wetlands on it or houses or improvements, that's pretty hard for AI to understand. In fact, it's next to impossible. You can see all of our data layers here. You got our land use layer you can add on. You can add your contour line, zip layer, on and on and on again, okay? And as we scroll down here, you've got all the sold comp data, active comp data. When you add an active comp, it applies a discount rate to that active comp. So it takes into account the days on market for that active comp. So based off the days on market, it's brought it down to by 20.8% because I added that active comp that has high days on market, which is 320 days on market. I have the notes section that I can add in for my team. I can say blah, blah, blah. It's got a structure. It's got septic, blah, blah, blah. So I can add that in, or my AM team or underwriting team can add that in and it auto saves. You can see the full market analysis here for the market countywide for that acreage range. The different sold criteria, and then your due diligence panel, right? I can see the seller bought it for $184,000 4 years ago. It's bought on a warranty deed, yada, 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 yada. You can see parcel information, owner information, structure information. See this. So the structure information is 2,000 square feet, built in 1950. And this is 100% free. So this feature alone, okay, guys, this feature alone for our acquisition managers, we've got 2 of them. For each one of them, it bought back 2 hours per day per acquisition manager. It took the average time of underwriting a deal from 15 minutes down to under 5 minutes, so a 66% drop. It increased our accuracy for our offers somewhere between 30 and 40%. It allowed us to scale our texting. We doubled our texting, and because we can underwrite our deals instantly through texting. And it's free to use. So we're just constantly shipping free features like this. And I think that's why Land Insights has built the reputation that it's built. But yeah, AJ, I'm just giving that as an example. I know you're talking about something separate, but I wanted to give that as an example for you guys. That is our playbook, more free value forever. And that's why we spend almost close to 7 figures a year just on development, just on engineering costs. It's under. I won't give the exact number, but it's an insane amount of money. But the premise is people never leave the tool. That's what we're trying to do. All right. Much love, everyone. Love you guys. Give this video a like. It would mean the world. Take care of yourself. Have a great weekend. Be the best fucking version of yourself. Go all in on whatever the dream is. If it's land, go all in, baby. Give it your all. I was willing to die for this business. I gave it every ounce of everything I had. And that's probably partially why I'm at where I'm at. And I also did it for a long time. I started in 2019. There is no overnight success. There's no get rich quick scheme. There's no easy path. The easy path is taking the hard path and doing it for a long freaking time. So stick with it, people. All right. Take care, guys. Peace.